Good afternoon, everyone. We're here at our last but one session, and we're looking at celebrating and supporting dyslexia in the workplace. BDA training by, of course, Donna Stevens from the BDA's training team. I'm really looking forward to this session. I am today. As I've said for all of them, I've been looking forward to all of them. Welcome all of you there. Can you just tell me, make sure that you can hear me over the phone, over the internet? Just put your hand up for me, please, just so I know that you are listening to me. That's good. I can see it all working. That's good. Thank you very much. I'm going to put the hands down. So those who are new to the session or haven't heard it, of course, these sessions are being run by Dyslexia Box and myself, Aaron Smith. Dyslexia Box is the pan-disability company. We offer services in all areas of accessibility and disability needs, looking at assistive technology, all the way from assessment, coaching, training for the technology and that technology. Just get hold of us by going to hello@dyslexiabox.co.uk is our email. We've had this amazing array of people there, and of course we've got Donna here who's talking with us next. An amazing array of people. I've got to say a big thank you to Michael Vinesh, Dan Thompson, Gillian Ashford from this morning, and of course Richard and Ed. I know Richard wasn't there, but Ed. We've just had Darren. Of course, I said we've got, as me and Donna just said, the best till last. We've got Donna and we've got Mary, who's our last one. It will be starting at 4 o'clock after this session. So, like I said, want to find out any more, just email us or go to our website hello@dyslexiabox.co.uk, and we will send the recordings out over the coming days. So how are you, Donna? I've just unmuted you. Are you okay?
Hi Aaron, hi everybody. Yes, I'm good, thanks. Lovely to see everyone. I'm just gonna share my screen, so let me know if you guys can see it okay.
I know we can see you, Donna, so I can see your screen if you want.
That's the main thing.
That's the most important thing. If you want to start your slide, if you want to start your presentation, I'm going to mute myself and hand over to Donna.
Okay. So Aaron, just let me know, can you see that slide?
Yeah, I can see it perfectly fine.
Perfect. We've got liftoff. Hi everyone, and thanks for that lovely introduction, Aaron. It's lovely to join you all from here at the British Dyslexia Association. As Aaron said, I am part of BDA training team. I've put my email address on this first slide. Please do contact me if you've got any questions or comments or you'd like any further information. Always happy to help. And I'm hoping we might have some time if I can get through these slides quickly enough to take some questions at the end as well. Fingers crossed, we'll see. So, as Aaron said, this session is about how we can celebrate and support dyslexia in the workplace. That's a lot of what we do at BDA training, actually, and it's a real passion of mine as well. So there's nothing I like better than having a chat about what we do in terms of training. So what we're going to have a look at during this very quick session is have a look at what we think constitutes good dyslexia-friendly awareness training. Also share our thoughts about how we think training can change and inform practice within organisations, and actually that's something we are really passionate about, and it's something that I spend a great deal of my professional time doing as well, and how we feel that training is at the heart of ensuring that support is provided in this, and this is a key word here guys, in this meaningful way, isn't it? And that's again what we're very much about at BDA too. So let's have a look at how we want to share that. Okay, so I've got a confession to make. I absolutely love BDA training, and I am one of those very lucky people in the world who happen to do a job that I absolutely adore. And hopefully I'm going to pass on a bit of my passion for training through to you this afternoon. We've started to kind of drill down into why we think the training that we do at BDA is so important. And one of our colleagues in the team, after chatting with me and some of us others in the training department, came up with this great tagline really, and you might start seeing this on our social media. It's talking about training that makes a difference. And I suppose if I had to figure out why I love training so much, that's partly why, other than the fact that I'm a chatterbox and I like talking all the time. Beyond that, it's because I think we really do feel like here at BDA we are making a difference with the training that we deliver. And here's why, I guess. The feedback that we get consistently keeps us, as it says here, motivated. So I've just took a sample really for this quick session this afternoon of the comments, the feedback that we hear all the time from the people that we work with. And I guess if I had to say, why do I love training so much? This is part of it, because isn't it always nice if you do something that you get great feedback for and you feel like you're making a difference? So let's have a look at some of this feedback we've got here. So powerful to hear about the positives of dyslexia. And again, during our time together this afternoon, I'm going to talk a little bit about what we mean by that, the positives of dyslexia. And this person went on to say, this will help me and my manager to understand me better. So again, really lovely to hear that we're giving insight into people about themselves and also the people that work with them as well. So that's, it's a great thing to be able to provide to somebody, isn't it? Next one, I thought I knew about dyslexia, but this training has really opened my eyes and showed me how important it is to be dyslexia friendly. Again, something really important. Great training. This should be a standard part of all induction. Yep, we totally agree with that. And the last one, always thought dyslexia was just about literacy. Hearing the session today has made me realise that I think I may have dyslexia. And I'm just going to move this box, guys, because I can't see the rest of the quote. And I have all the traits, but thought because my literacy was good, I wasn't dyslexic, thanks BDA. And I can't tell you the amount of times we heard those types of feedback comments as well, about the fact that somebody thinks, actually, this sounds like me. I think with our adults, depending on the journey they've got to us so far, or as we hear from this particular person, they don't have literacy issues, but realise on the back of a training that we may have delivered that actually, yes, dyslexia could be part of their profile and may need further support as well. So that's just a selection of the type of feedback that we get, which makes us really enjoy what we do at BDA, because it does make a difference actually. So what we're going to have a look at is kind of why the training makes a difference, and as it says here, what makes good training. And this is a combination of what we feel as an organisation and a little bit about me also. As it says here, be yourself and share your experiences. So in the spirit of that, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. So I've worked at the BDA now for 15 years. My background is in teaching. And I think when I first came into the organisation, I thought, oh, training will be a doddle because I am a teacher. Actually, in some ways, it's very different. I used to teach children. Now, obviously, most of the time I train adults. But what I've figured out over the years, it is about, as it says here, and I know it's a bit of a cliche, but it's so true. It's about being yourself, and it's about sharing your experiences. And actually, the more honest we can be and the more we can share those experiences, the more that does actually make a great training session. And of course, we've got a wealth of experiences here at BDA. BDA will be 50 years old, not next year, but the year after. So we have been around for a long time. So we know what we're talking about. And so it's great to be able to share those experiences with the organisations that reach out to us to have some training. I love the next one. It's about keeping it real and relevant. And again, what we desperately don't want to do at BDA is to be so out of touch with what's going on in the real world, in our real organisations and day-to-day working practices, COVID included. And we've worked on a lot about delivering training now around how to support colleagues who are working from home for the first time and so on and so forth, because of these awful times that we're in at the moment. We desperately need to make sure that we keep it real and it's relevant for people. And part of that relevance is by the conversations that we have before we deliver the training. It's finding out what people want from us and making sure that we hit the ground running. You know, it's a real luxury now, isn't it, to have time away from a busy working day to have training. So when we deliver it, we need to make sure that it does what we promise it to do and we really make it so relevant, and that phrase there about keeping it real as well. And I think the next few is also part of that journey too. It's about meeting organisations where they are at. Again, it sounds like a cliche and it sounds really obvious, doesn't it? But you'd be surprised kind of how important that part of our work is. We need to listen to what our clients are saying to us, and we need to meet them where they're at in terms of the awareness that we're talking about, or the types of colleagues that they're supporting, and also what they're doing in their day job as well, because obviously different organisations require slightly different things from training as well. The next one we find really easy to do is show that you care, and obviously we do care at BDA, and again that's why it's such a powerful journey, I think, that we take people on, because we do care desperately about supporting colleagues within organisations, and it's making sure that we show that and that we're able to support them as much as we can as well. And what's so satisfying about that is the reaction that we get back. It's a real two-way street there in terms of when we show that we care and we're there to support and to help, the feedback we get is fantastic, and the journey goes on and the conversations go on beyond the training sessions that we may deliver as well. We talk about responding and reacting and listening to what our clients want from us. Again, it's all part of that keeping it real and keeping it relevant and meeting people where they're at as well. And something that's very dear to me as the manager of the training department here at BDA is a commitment to excellence as well. You know, we don't always get it right. It's a work in progress, as anything we do in life is, isn't it? But we always have a commitment. And so we need to make sure that what we do is brilliant, and if it's not brilliant, we need to figure out why, and we need to kind of move on from that and get better and better all the time. And again, it's about the changes that we're all going through as in a broader terms in workplace, as I said to you earlier around COVID, for example, and it's being reactive and making sure that we're not talking about things that maybe we would have delivered years ago, that we're bang up to date with the information that we're sharing as well. So we normally start in our training sessions when we work with organisations is about what is dyslexia. It's always fascinating, I think, because I think for a lot of us, most of us have got an idea of what is dyslexia, don't we? Of course, you know, obviously at BDA we do, that's what we do all the time. But I think across the general population, most people think, okay, I have an understanding of dyslexia. But actually, once we start delivering training and we work with organisations, you may be surprised that a lot of people, when you put them on the spot and say, okay, tell me what you know about dyslexia, they will say, actually not very much. I only know maybe impacts on literacy. But as we just heard from that earlier quote, especially when we're working with adults, it's not always going to impact on literacy. And so it's about making sure that we start everybody off with what is dyslexia. So at BDA, we still like very much the Rose Review definition. I've included it in the slides today. Unfortunately, we won't have time to go through some of the things that I'm sharing with you, but happy to share the slides if you'd like to find out more. And this information is on the BDA website as well if you'd like to dig a bit deeper. But basically, we start with a definition. We always make it clear this isn't the only definition of dyslexia. There's lots out there. And actually, the Rose Review is getting a little bit old now, but we like it still at BDA. And if you look at it on our website, we've added some caveats there as well. So there's some extra bits on there now as we've learnt more around dyslexia. So we've added to the Rose Review. But again, this is a great place to start for organisations. It talks about dyslexia being a learning difficulty, or maybe we talk more about learning difference now. You know, times are changing in terms of how we view an issue like dyslexia. Yes, in the Rose Review, it talks about literacy. And of course, for some of our adults and colleagues, yes, literacy will still be an issue. But what's quite profound, I think, from this definition is that it goes on to talk about processing, and it talks about memory. And those are the areas, certainly in my experience when I'm delivering training, these are the issues that for a lot of our adults never kind of go away. And these are the issues that when we deliver awareness, they think, oh yes, actually, these are the areas that maybe I need support on. It's my short-term and working memory, it's my processing speed and skills, and it's my organisational skills as well. Now, this could be a sign of changing times, and I've been at BDA a long time now, and we would never have jumped in when we start to look at traits and characteristics around dyslexia with actually positive dyslexia. We would always start on this slide about challenges. But this is a sign of the times, and it's a very exciting change, I think, because when we start to move away from the definition of dyslexia, we then jump in and talk about the gifts and talents of dyslexia. And if you think about that quote we had earlier on about thank you BDA for talking about positive dyslexia, this is why. I think it's really important that we ensure that when we work with organisations who will have, lots of colleagues within their teams who do have dyslexia, that we make sure that they have a clear understanding of the gifts and talents associated with this neurodiverse learning difference. And, we have a huge commitment here at BDA to celebrate these gifts and talents of dyslexia. And it's a subtle change, isn't it? All we're talking about here is a change in slide order. So rather than looking at challenges first, we look at positive. But honestly, a subtle change, but I think with a very powerful message actually. And I know it works because the feedback we get is incredibly powerful as well. So this is not a definitive list. The things that we tend to talk about are a mixture of personality traits, if you like, that we often associate with dyslexia, that we get told a lot about at BDA, with a combination of what science has shown us around the gifts and talents of dyslexia. And when we start to look at these types of lists with the people that we deliver training to, we get lots and lots of feedback, lots and lots of discussions about, oh yes, okay, yeah, we're aware that we've got a lot of colleagues who are great at problem solving and in this atypical creative way as well. We talk about creativity. We talk about good procrastination as well. And that always triggers a lot of debate with the people that we work with as well. I love this next word. So we've got good procrastinators, incubating the best ideas or solutions. And that word incubating, it's having that time to go away, isn't it? And think about ideas. And again, in our training, these are the types of ideas that really hit home, I think, to the people that we work with. The ideas about being creative and having great social skills and being good with people. They mean so much to all the organisations that we work with, actually, and it's always very heartening to hear that actually, when we look at this stuff, people say, yeah, actually, they are skills that I have. I've got dyslexia, and yes, that sounds like me. Or somebody might say, yeah, that sounds like a much valued colleague. And so, yes, this is a lovely part of our training session where we celebrate these gifts and talents. We then move on to challenges. And again, it's a really important part of our awareness training. We need to make sure that we discuss and explore the variety of different challenges that colleagues may have within organisations. Yes, literacy is going to be there, and it's the full range really, isn't it, of spectrum. It's some adults who really won't have those kind of huge issues around literacy. Maybe it just comes out now and again if they're under pressure, through to adults who will still have quite severe issues around literacy. That's where assistive technology can help. And I know during some of the webinars today, presented to you by our friends at Dyslexia Box, you've been listening to a lot of colleagues in the assistive technology world. And I know Clara is going to be after this session. And of course, they're a key name in this type of support too. You may be surprised that beyond literacy, numeracy can be part of dyslexia. And again, when we deliver a lot of training, people are often surprised by that. We often talk around dyslexia nowadays in terms of the neurodiverse family that dyslexia will sit in. And of course, dyscalculia is part of that family. But for sure, numeracy can sit within somebody's profile who just has dyslexia as well. And again, it's quite satisfying sometimes during a training when we talk in this way and people think, oh, okay, I didn't realise that. And maybe that triggers other conversations. And, beyond the training session, they will keep in touch with us and maybe raise issues around numeracy and ideas that we may have as well. The next few under this executive functioning umbrella, if you like, are the ones that really hit home with the organisations that we work with and the adults themselves who are in those sessions who have dyslexia. And we talk about organisational skills. We often talk about the two sides of that, really. It's the life skills, if you like, so it's time management, multitasking and so on, through to maybe some of the more intellectual sides of organisational skills. And what I mean by that is getting your ideas down on paper. If you're given a presentation, making sure it's got a logical thread through a beginning, middle and an end. So it's that type of organisational skills as well, almost the cognitive side. And then we talk about memory and processing. And it's important when we deliver a session and we start with what is dyslexia and the traits and characteristics that we explore this stuff, because it's from this that then we go to look at what constitutes good practice, how we support colleagues around these issues. And again, it's great to get a debate going with our groups to talk about what this means for them in their line of work. As you would imagine, you know, some jobs rely more heavily on working memory and short-term memory skills than other jobs. Some jobs have a lot of multitasking in, some not so much. So it's always great to, as we said earlier, meet people where they're at, make it very relevant to their day-to-day job as well. Now, normally then on the back of that, we get these, what I call light bulb moments. And what we mean by that is that the awareness part of our training through then to actually explaining to people that yes, dyslexia is a disability. You might be surprised to know that there's still an awful lot of people out there who don't realise that, and that actually they don't realise that it's the highest incidence disability, between 10 to 15% of the population. We guesstimate that's about 6.3 million people. When we crunch those numbers down in a group of 30, it can be as much as 5 or 6 individuals. When we start sharing this information with the people we work with, we do get these light bulb moments, because then they start to think, oh gosh, okay, we have, as it says here, obligations under the Equality Act to be dyslexia friendly. There are a lot of people out there who have dyslexia, so it's important that we know what it is and how we can support. And actually, when we deliver a dyslexia-friendly service, whether it's to our clients or whether it's in-house for each other within our teams, then it's a great way to work for all of us. And again, I suppose that's part of, if I have to think about why I love my job so much, it's because when we start to talk about these issues, we do get these light bulb moments and people think, actually, this is a real no-brainer. Actually, we should be dyslexia-friendly. It makes perfect sense to us. And that's what's so satisfying about being on that journey with organisations, really. Because from that, what we try to do, as it says here, what good training tries to do and should do, we feel at BDA, is make links from that information through across then into people's day jobs. So from what we've talked about with organisational skills and processing difficulties and so on, then we start to say to organisations, okay, so what we can figure out from that is we make connections across to, that might be why some of your colleagues are saying they struggle with multitasking and juggling phone calls and writing emails all at the same time, or working to deadlines and, you know, giving presentations and having to take minutes or whatever else. You know, this again is not an exhaustive list. And again, it's very satisfying from our side at BDA when you see organisations make links from that, when you have explained to them what dyslexia is and how it can impact on the individual, and then we bring it all the way back to the real world, to their day-to-day job, and they think, yes, that is why now we've got certain colleagues who are brilliant at many things but maybe having challenges in this way. And once we have those light bulb moments, once we start to make those links, that's when we start to see the awareness and the training that we're trying to deliver and make kind of impactful. That's when we start to see people think, right, you know, rolling the sleeves up, rubbing the hands together, what are we going to do about this now, actually? Because it's really important that we support colleagues. Another link that we make across from the awareness through to day-to-day working practice, including our day-to-day working practice now because of COVID, is when we start to share about what is neurodiverse or dyslexia unfriendly. So because we work with many different organisations across many different walks of life, and here at BDA, we have seen it all. We work with lots and lots of different organisations. Wherever there's people, we're normally there in some way, because of course some of those people have dyslexia. And so it's easier in some ways, and this is what we always explain, it's easier for us to start to say what is unfriendly, so what's bad practice, and on the back of that, we then encourage the organisations to think, okay, well, from that, we need to figure out, based on our day jobs, what is dyslexia friendly for us. So rather than us imposing on them what is dyslexia friendly, it's easier, we find, to talk about what is dyslexia unfriendly and encourage them to start to make those links. And obviously, we're with them every step of the way on that journey. And we talk about some of these issues, as it says here: time, lack of time, things being too busy and noisy and frenetic, lack of structure, and overloading expectations. And the one that we often talk about a lot is negative atmosphere and culture as well. And on the back of those things, this is where we really start to feel that we make a difference. And I suppose these next quotes will hopefully highlight to you why it really is so important to do the work that we do here at the BDA. Because whilst these individuals are experiencing what we're going to share in a moment in their workplace, that gives us a reason to keep on doing what we're doing here at BDA as well. So let's take a look at the types of things that we get told from people who have got dyslexia in the workplace. So we've got Carl. When my manager talked to me, it was very patronising with a "what can we do to help you" attitude. It left me feeling like there was something wrong with me that needed to be fixed. And then we've got Christine. I had tasks taken away from me for my own good. I didn't want that to happen, and although these conversations were confidential, I felt like everyone knew, and it caused resentment amongst my colleagues. And then we've got Ian, and I would argue what Ian's going to share with us, and then the next one from Paul, is what we're hearing a lot of at the moment because of COVID. So Ian says, I feel like I am an added burden on an already stretched team. This makes me feel guilty, so I do extra work at home so that I'm not costing my firm in extra time or money. And we're hearing that a lot at the moment coming through our helpline. And unfortunately, we're hearing a lot of the next one from Paul, again coming through our helpline. Let's face it, in this day and age, they are looking for any excuse to get rid of you. If I told them how much I struggle, they will think I can't do my job, and they would find an excuse then to get rid of me. So there's a lot of fear out there. There's a lot of anxiety and worry and stress. And so whilst we still hear these voices, which unfortunately we still do through helpline and a variety of other things, the work that we do at BDA, we're always listening, then that's really important, really. It makes us always motivated to make those differences within organisations. And again, I can't tell you the amount of times that we get feedback from people like Carl or Christine, Ian or Paul, who say to us, thank you, you've made a difference. And while that occurs, that gives us at BDA the reason why we exist, and also the energy to keep on going as well. Because as we said earlier, it's important, isn't it, to make sure that what we do here at BDA is meaningful and impactful. We are all about being pragmatic and keeping it real, as I said earlier. So it's important that beyond a training session, that we provide organisations with as much information as we can to make sure that after the training is finished, they don't just drop the subject of dyslexia. It has to continue. And we always stress that training is a conversation starter. It is not a conversation ended. It is a beginning of a conversation and a journey, really. And these are the ways that we make sure that happens. We share as much information as we can beyond the training materials. We signpost to further support. And it's not just signposting back to BDA, we signpost to lots of different organisations. We always try and keep in touch with our clients as well. Again, we listen and support. We have a helpline, so that's an important part of what we can offer, support beyond the training. We always aspire to become organisations' go-to experts. So again, I can't tell you the times that we might have delivered training years ago, and 5 years later a team reaches out and say, hey, remember us? Can you help us? We've got a new issue here. And that's what we're there for. And because I've been around at BDA for a long time, I've been around long enough for those people to come, time and again, and happily we can still work with them and support them as well. And that final point about encouraging them to join the BDA family sounds like a cliche, but honestly it isn't, because it is about having this wraparound support so that beyond the training, we are there to help in whatever way that may be. And it can sometimes be at very individual level. So again, it happens a lot. We deliver a training and one individual will reach out to us and say, beyond my organisation, BDA, can you help me? And the answer is always, yes, we can. So we work at very individual level through to very, strategic level with organisations as well. So part of what we do as well to embed good practice is we make suggestions. And part of the suggestions about changing practice comes in these variety of ways. So it can be at policy level, service delivery, how you support your colleagues. We've got here about communications, looking at different ways to work, how you change a culture. And of course, a lot of people will say, oh, culture and atmosphere, yeah, that's easy. We've got a great culture here. Start to dig a bit deeper, and unfortunately, maybe they don't. And actually, we can't underestimate, can we, the importance of culture and atmosphere. It's very hard to change it. It's very hard to measure, isn't it, when we get it right? We almost kind of only know when we haven't got it right. And so part of our work is to figure out, okay, how can we help you develop a dyslexia-friendly culture and atmosphere? Through then to things that may be a little bit easier to help and support, how we support colleagues with their written work or reading or literacy or numeracy, whatever it may be. That's where we start to look at some of the reasonable adjustments. And it can be as low tech, and we are very unashamedly low tech here at BDA if needs be. So we are old school. We still like highlighter pens. We still like good old fashioned post-it notes and paper-based to-do lists or whatever, through to some of our virtual sticky post-it notes and virtual to-do lists. So we talk about a lot of different ways, through to recording devices and mind maps or whatever it might be, through then to looking at the types of assistive technology that's on the market, which I know today Dyslexia Box have kindly give a platform to experts talking about the different reasonable adjustments that's out there with technology. And I think the perfect support really is a combination of both, isn't it? It's some of this old school stuff, maybe, for old timers like me, and it's some of the new latest technology that's out there. Microsoft 365's got a lot of fantastic things there. BDA have a lot of links across with Microsoft. So it's getting that combination right. And what we always stress is that one size never fits all. And hopefully from the training that we deliver, from awareness through to talking about individual impacts, we've give that sense that one size does not fit all for colleagues in that way. And obviously then on the back of that, we support and help to figure out what we can do to support challenges, but most importantly, isn't it, it's celebrating all those gifts and talents as well, and celebrating positive dyslexia. So on that note, I will finish because I wanted to have a little bit of time to take some questions. What I have popped up here is a BDA website address. Our BDA website is a great place to go. I've put on our helpline. That is the real jewel in the crown for us here at BDA. We are so proud of it, and it's a really important service that we offer, as well as training, assessment. And if you think, yeah, we do a lot of that work within my organisation, then why not get Dyslexia Smart Award as well? But beyond that, please do keep in touch with us. You've got my email address as well. We'd love to hear from you. So on that note, I'll hand back over to Aaron in case we've got any questions.
We have got some questions, Donna. So I think it was brilliant. Thank you very much for giving us that information. I think it's a really interesting one. And this comes from one of the things you said. Do you want to expand on what you mean by good or positive procrastination?
Oh, yes, that's a great question, actually. It's this idea, and if you remember what I said a bit earlier, it's incubating the best ideas. So it's this idea that it's having some time to go away and process, or as it says, positively procrastinate. I know it's a bit of a mouthful, but positively procrastinate over a problem or over an idea. I think in our society, procrastination is always seen as a negative thing, isn't it?
Mm,
It's always seen that you dither and you're spending way too long on something. Positive procrastination is turning that on its head in a way. And it's saying that if you give our friends with dyslexia some time, they can go away and come back with fantastic ideas. And it's worth allowing that positive procrastination to occur. And it manifests itself in many different ways. I've been pre-COVID, when we used to be able to go out and about, I've visited lots of different organisations, and some of the more modern ways of working, and I think it's been an attempt to attract some of our younger millennial workers, if you like. So when I've gone into offices, some modern ways of working have ping pong tables. Believe it or not, they have like a room where there's bean bags and PlayStations, and you see people in there having some time out playing ping pong or sitting playing on a PlayStation. And I remember being an old timer like me, I've thought, what is going on in there? That's not normal. That's not what I've seen over the years. But I think what it's doing is it's allowing positive procrastination to occur, doing something slightly different, playing 10 minutes of ping pong. Whilst that's going on, you're having a chance to mull stuff over. It's a brain break, but it's also having a chance to go away and think about things as well. And it doesn't have to be ping pong or whatever. It can be whatever is your version of positive procrastination. But what I love about that is it turns the idea of extra time on its head. We always associate extra time, I think, with meeting challenges. Oh, give me extra time because I'm struggling to meet a deadline. What positive procrastination is talking about is give me time if you want to get the best out of me, actually. So it's a two-way street. So I hope that answers your
no,
question.
I think it's a brilliant answer. I think that when I first heard it, I was like, "Whoa, isn't that like you said, isn't it negative?" And I was like, "Actually, you know what? I do that as a severe dyslexic adult. I go and away from my desk. I sit on the sofa in the office, or I go and walk into the house and I go and like probably digest into Twitter for 10,
Yeah.
15 minutes to
Mm.
try and then kind of get into that place. And I think it was brilliant. It was. No, I think
Yeah,
that's
and
a
I think, Aaron, if you think about yourself, probably when you come back from that positive procrastination, you've got a light bulb moment or
yeah,
whatever, isn't it?
yeah. You got that thing.
Someone
Yeah.
asked me in a session, Donna, what's your positive procrastination? I said, it's reading the Emma Bridgewater catalogue. So it's me sitting, going having a cup of tea and looking at the Emma Bridgewater catalogue. Me having 5 minutes to do that, that's my version of positive
That
procrastination.
that's brilliant. Yes. I think it's brilliant. We've had a number of comments saying brilliant presentation, loved it. We've had one comment saying love BDA training.
Oh, bless you.
So that's quite enough.
Keep in
Yeah,
touch with us.
yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
good.
It means a lot. It
So
really
this
does.
is a good question. We've
Yeah.
got about 10 minutes so we can get through some
Okay.
questions. So this is more of a comment actually. I'm going to read this one first. So has a bad engagement with the NHS. One of the largest employers in the country. I am a dyslexic and I've worked for the NHS for over 30 years and never come across the understanding and support regarding the challenges I regarding the challenges I work around. And I think that's an interest. It's not it's a comment rather than that. And I think
Yeah.
it's a
But
point
it's
that
such a powerful comment, isn't it, Aaron? Thank
yeah.
you for sharing that, because as long as people like you have that experience, we have to keep going at BDA, because
Mm,
we don't want to hear that you have experiences like that. And it's unfortunate when it is in a big employer like the NHS. Obviously, they are a very caring organisation. And by the way, thank you for your service during COVID. You are heroes at NHS. But beyond that, yeah, we work with a lot of NHS trusts here at BDA. Beyond your comment, and thank you for sharing that, please do contact us. We are here to help individuals like you, wherever you're at currently in your working practices. The helpline address is there, but but please do please do keep in touch with us, because you know that is part of what we do. We are a charity. We are here to help you in that way as well.
So that thing, the person did actually comment, say that she has now left the NHS because of that.
Oh, that's a
So
shame.
it
And
is,
that's
yeah.
a nightmare scenario, isn't it? You were probably a
Yeah.
fantastic member of that team. And why organisations reach out to us often is about retention as well. It's about keeping colleagues in, because they invest a lot of time
Yeah.
and money into people. So it's a shame that you've left. But beyond wherever you went now, keep in touch with us anyway. Please do.
It's very interesting because it's like at the very beginning of the day, we had Michael Vanesh from Microsoft, and how they are now using disability and differences to being that kind of that catalyst for actually ensuring having more people like that in their environment, because of the different ways that people work, which I think it's definitely interesting to see. I've got another question for you, Donna. So it says here, how much is there a crossover between dyslexia and other neurodiverse conditions, e.g. autism conditions and dyslexia?
That's a great question. So in our yes, there is. We can see dyslexia manifest itself on its own, but yes, it can be overlaps with other neurodiverse differences like autism, ADHD, dyspraxia. Sometimes it's one other, sometimes it's a number of other differences as well. And more now. Not that long ago, I suppose, we would only talk about dyslexia here at BDA. Of course, that's what we're expecting. But more and more now, when we invited in for training, the organisation will say, we know you're going to talk about dyslexia, of course, but can you just set the scene for us in terms of neurodiverse differences? And you may have seen on an earlier slide where it said neurodiverse unfriendly. We talk a lot, we use both really. We talk about dyslexia on its own and neurodiverse friendly or unfriendly as well, knowing that under that umbrella is autism and other learning differences as well. So yes, very much so, it can co-occur. In our training, we do talk a fair bit about that, depending on, it's about that listening, isn't it? So when we get invited in, the organisation may say, can you really talk about, you know, dyspraxia and dyslexia or whatever it might be? So we always set the scene now anyway. And some organisations, rather than saying we just want to be dyslexia friendly, will say we want to be neurodiverse friendly, and it's about how we work with them here at BDA to support them in that way.
Yeah. So what there's been a comment relating back to our conversation about procrastination, and it is a comment, and it says there, that is why children are offered offered rest breaks and also get extra time in formal exams. This means it can be reinforced. So I think
Yes,
that's a
agree.
really
Yeah,
really good comment to listen to
it
there.
is. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah.
So this is a good question for you. How do people get hold of? How can people get you to come in to do training in our service? Our managers could do with this training. So is it just email you, or is it email training@bdadyslexia.org.uk?
Yes. So all you have to do is ask, and we'll
Yeah.
be there. So you see on this slide here, we've got training at, as Aaron said, BDA Dyslexia, or my email address is Donna S. So I'm Donna Stevenson, and it's the same pattern at bdadyslexia.org.uk. And that's music to my ears, guys. So yes, reach out to us, and we will be there. If you think we can't afford training just yet, but we'd like some information, still message us. We've got lots of resources we can share with you. It's not always about spending money with us. We are a charity, so our whole reason to exist is to support those with dyslexia. So yes, there's lots of ways we can support, but fantastic if you want us to come in for training. Yeah, I'd love to join you wherever you're at. So that's fantastic.
That's brilliant. It is. I think coming back to we were talking about the NHS. I think this person's put a really good thing there, and they've said there, don't forget about the localized support you get from the BDA's local dyslexia associations.
Yes, that's right. Thank you. BDA is a bit like the mothership, really. And then beneath that, we've got all these fantastic local associations who work at a local level as well. So on our website, there is a directory of our local associations. They do fantastic work. They also deliver training and raise awareness. They're run by volunteers. We are really proud of them. So yes, whoever said that, you're spot on. So we work at a national level, and we have lots of different local groups within our BDA family who work at a local level as well. So yes, that's a really important point. Thank you for mentioning that too.
So I've got a couple of people saying brilliant presentation. Thank you so much. Fantastic presentation. And the person has just said, I love to help the BDA to do this. I will email them. It's a subject close to my heart, so that's really nice to hear.
Fantastic.
Now, we've only got 1 minute left. Another person says fantastic presentation. I'll be in touch.
Fab.
So I've got two or three other questions. What I'm going to say to them people is I will send the questions to Donna, or me and Donna will answer the questions either via email, or you can email them to Donna, as Donna gave her email at the beginning of the presentation. I'm going to pull this session to an end because we need to finish on time and get ready for the next session with our last session today. So I know there's a few people that have asked questions, but I will try and get them to Donna over the next couple of days. So I want to thank you everyone for listening. I want to thank Donna. Amazing presentation. Really enjoyed listening to you as always. And thank you very much. I'm going to end the session for everyone. And don't forget, we've got one more session left with Mary Wilcox from Claro that starts at 3 p.m. So thank you very much. Take care. Thanks, Donna.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Stay safe. Thank you.